Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And greetings to all of you. Welcome to this recorded lecture for MGT321 Organizational Behavior, Navigating Organizational Ethics. In these sessions, we explore organizational ethics, corporate responsibility, and governance, showing how companies can act with integrity, fairness, and accountability to build trust, to protect the stakeholders, and achieve a long-term sustainable success. So these lectures serve as the ultimate guide to morals, management, and corporate responsibility that designed to help you connect theory with the practice. It is intended as a supplementary learning resource for revision and self-paced study. So for students, Behaviour 1, cohort 2025-4, okay, after watching the recorded lecture, please complete the viewing verification form to confirm participation. So without further ado, let's proceed to learn about the organizational ethic, the corporate responsibility, and governance. So organizational ethic are the moral value and principle guiding behavior and decision making in the workplace. So ethics of work and management refer to the moral principle and the standard that guide the behavior of employees and managers in the workplace. Okay? So for the ethics in organization, it focuses on doing the right thing in the professional activities, the decision making, and also the interaction with others. So the understanding of what is right and wrong will be the framework to help the individual to determine whether the actions are moral or immoral. So the organizational ethic itself, okay, will help the people, okay, to decide, okay, what is right or wrong in the workplace. They help them to create a respectful, the fair, honest environment, to building the trust among employees, the managers, and the client. So when they study, okay, the moral principle, when they embrace the ethical value in the workplace, okay, it will help them, okay, to deal with specific standard and the rules that will guide them, okay, the human behavior to make a decision, okay, to decide how to interact with other people. So it guide them how people behave at the work, okay, they help decide, okay, what is right, what is wrong. So it is very essential for them to know about the ethical, okay, the ethical responsibility as a manager, as an employee. Is very essential for them to study it because it will build the trust, the respect, okay, the fairness among the employees, the managers, and the stakeholders. That's the core concept, okay, for the ethic itself, okay, how it will help them to know, okay, what is right or what is wrong in the working place, the principle guiding behavior. That's for the ethic itself, okay. So the foundations, okay, of the ethic itself, okay, organizational ethic will provide the moral framework for determining right and wrong in the workplace. It's very essential for them to build the trust among employees, to maintain a positive organizational culture, to prevent any misconduct and corruptions, to enhance the organizational reputation, okay. But because of the ethic itself, okay, it will influence the behavior, it will influence the decision making, okay, it will serve as the foundation for individual, okay, to respect other people, to being fair, okay, to be honest when they work at the environment. So the result, okay, from applying the ethical principles or the ethical responsibility, okay, it will help the individual to practice a strong personal ethic, okay, where they can build a trust among the employees, with the managers, with the client, okay. It will support a positive organizational cultures, okay. So the managers and also the employees, both of them, okay, both of the managers and employees have their own ethical responsibility in the workplace. So the employees, okay, they should demonstrate honesty, integrity, responsibility, respect, and confidentiality. While the manager, they should lead ethically, okay, treat everyone fairly, okay, being accountable, transparent, and avoid conflict of interest. Okay, so the employee itself, the ethics of employee, okay, employee are expected to demonstrate ethical work behavior while performing their duties. Okay, the first ethical principle, they need to be honest. Okay, honesty meaning that employee must be truthful in the work and communication. For example, like they're reporting accurate work result. Okay, they must make sure it is accurate. Other than that, they must instill the integrity. The employee should follow moral principle even when no one is watching. So they have to refuse to falsify the data even when it is unobserved. They have to report the data. Okay, do not falsify. Okay, and they also need to be responsible. Responsible means that employee should complete the task, okay, and make sure they met the job expectation, completing assigned task on time. And they have to respect other people. Okay, they have to treat the colleague or the customer with respect, avoiding any discrimination or any harassment. Okay. And the last one, for the confidentiality, employee must protect the company information. They cannot share the confidential information, the company data with other. Okay, they cannot track the employees data. Okay, that's the ethics of employee. While for the managers, okay, managers have a greater ethical responsibility because they influence the behavior of employees and organizational culture. Okay, so the managers, okay, they can instill the ethical leadership, the ethical responsibility. Okay, for the ethical leadership means that the managers must set a good example for employees. They have to demonstrate honesty and fairness in a decision. Okay, other than that, they need to give a fair treatment. Managers should treat employee equally and avoid any discrimination. So they have to provide equal opportunity, promotion opportunity for each of the employees without consider gender, the nationality, the race, and others. Other than that, they have to be accountable. Manager must take responsibility for their decision and action, admitting the mistake and the correcting them. Okay, and the fourth one is to be transparent. Managers should communicate openly and clearly with the employees. They have to sharing important organizational uh, information. Okay, other than that, the last one is to avoid conflict of interest. Okay, managers must not use their position for the personal gain. Okay, they need to avoid a contract for the families member. That's for the ethics of managers. So managers have a greater ethical responsibility because they will influence the behavior of employees and the organizational culture. So the employees and manager must demonstrate both of the ethics of employees and ethics of the manager itself. So ethics will create a respectful, the fair, and the honest environment. So good personal ethic will build the trust among the employees, the manager, and the client. Okay. So for the ripple effect of the ethical behavior, since both of the employees and the managers need to instill a good ethic, okay, they have to understand that if they follow the ethical responsibility, okay, they do instill the ethical behavior, it will lead them to build a trust, uh, to establish the trust, establish the confidence and the security in the business relationship. How they can work with the colleagues, okay, how the ethicals will help them to have a good relationship with manager, with the supplier, with others, the stakeholders. Okay, they follow the rules, the guideline, and also ensure the legal compliance. So if they follow being ethical, it will reduce the likelihood of the lawsuit and the regulatory penalties, because when you do immoral things, illegal things, okay, it also have a bad consequences that involve a lawsuit, involve someone maybe being hurt, Okay, being organizations have a bad reputation because they not provide a good service or good product. Okay, that if you follow the ethical behavior, it is ensure the legal compliance. At the same time, it will promote the productivity because the employees or the managers, okay, when they're being ethical, it will lead to a safe environment that encourage open communication and a teamwork without a fear. Okay, that's a good ethics. Okay, and it will lead to enhance the pride. Employees will feel proud to belong to an organization that value fairness. There is no discriminations. Okay, how the manager treat them, how the employees treat each others. Okay, without discrimination. That's how it will enhance the pride, and of course eventually it will lead to a long-term success, improve our reputation, to build the public trust, to support the sustainable growth. Okay, because they already follow the ethicals, they meet the specification, meet the requirement, okay, to being effective and efficient. That's the ripple effect of the ethical behavior. So for the organizations, okay, the employees and the uh, managers, okay, they have to give a good example. They need to have a good ethics in action. Okay, they have to protect the confidentiality. Okay, for keeping employee salary details in private. For example, as a HR manager, okay, the leader, they have to protect, to keep employee salary detail. Okay, they have to lock away the informations. Okay, the data, they cannot share the data with the unauthorized colleague, because there are consequences that maybe will demotivate the employees, and they have to track the employees fairly. They need to make sure giving a promotion based on the performance, not favoritism. Okay, they need to give an equal opportunity for the training, for the promotions, okay, for reward, without discriminate the person, yeah, to make sure that it is the employees being you know evaluate, okay, without the bias. Okay, and this is how they treat the employees fairly, and they have to be honest in reporting. Okay, they have to admit the mistake in report even if it is look bad. So when the employees discover there are an error in a financial report, for example, when they prepare, they have to immediately inform and to the immediate supervisor. Okay, they have to take an accountability even if it is reflect poor on them. This is how they're being ethicals, okay, in their works. Okay, example of the good ethics in action. So it is very important, okay, for them to instill this kind of good ethics in order to build the trust among the employees, in order to improve the organizational reputation, to reduce the fraud and misconduct, to enhance the employees' moral and commitment. But other than the good ethics, they also have the unethical uh, behavior. Okay, and not a good ethic in organization, the ethical issue in the workplace. Okay, because some of the managers or maybe the employees, okay, they trying to manipulate the data, they abuse their power. Okay, they being discriminate with other people, they also leak the confidential information. This is unethical behavior, unethical workplace issue. The bribery, the coercion, insider trading, the dishonesty, discrimination, and the misuse of the company resources. Okay, some of the employees or managers may be accepting the money, the gift or favor in exchange for the special treatment. It will create a conflict of interest and damage organizational integrity. Okay, because they accept the money for their personal purpose, personal interest, which is not good. It will be harmful to the organization. Okay, and a coercion. Okay, how they force someone to act against the personal belief or value. They threat the employees, they threat the the managers, and they blackmail, they pressure them, they're threatening to to block the promotion or to terminate the employment if they not follow the guide the to follow the order, okay, the instruction, and even to cause other people, which is will be harmful, okay, demotivate the employees. It's not good for organization. And some of them, they leak the information, okay, leak the data, they bring inside the trading, okay, they abuse their position, their power, they share, leak the data in order to get the the money and others, okay, because of the personal gain. They destroy the stakeholders trust and the financials performance. This is unethical. It's not good for the organizations, okay, because they sharing confidential info for the personal gain, okay. Other than that, okay, a conflict of interest, okay, for the conflict of interest, some of the employees or managers, okay, because of their personal interest, okay, directly interfere with the professional responsibility of the organization, and they want to get more money, then they do something uh, dishonest, okay, for the organization. For example, submitting false overtime claim for extra payment, okay. Some may be unfair in terms of give a promotion, unfair discrimination, how they treat the individual unequally in order to fulfill their goals, okay. So discriminations are refusing a promotion based on the gender rather than the performance, okay. They don't get uh, um, the fair treatment. The employees do not get the fair treatment because someone's already blocked their promotion. Someone abuse their power, okay, misuse driving the company vehicle for personal trip without authorization. This is how they use the company properties for their own personal gain, okay, for their own maybe personal business. This is how they're using a company resources for the personal reason, okay. This is unethical, unethical in a workplace issue. So in organizations, again, a lot of ethical issue in the workplace. Some a good action if they follow the ethical responsibility, ethical principle, but some may be not following the ethical issue because of their personal interest, okay. The in the real world applications, the good ethics in actions, some of the employees will try to protect the company because they know the consequences, okay. But some may be unethical, okay, misconduct because of um, they want to use, okay, the opportunities, the powers, okay, in order to fulfill their personal interest. So unethical behavior like the bribery, the coercions, the insider trading, the dishonesty, discrimination, and misuse of the resources will undermine the trust in organizational integrity, okay. So we proceed, okay, with the ethics and the cooperation, okay. Ethics and the corporate governance. So the corporations are expected to operate in an ethical and socially responsibly manner, okay, where the organization must consider, okay, the interests of the different stakeholders, for example, the employees, okay, the customer, the investor, the society, the environment. So ethical cooperation will build the public trust and the long-term sustainability. Okay, so first is about the corporate governance. Okay, we need to understand how the organizations can apply a good corporate governance principle, good governance uh, practice. Okay, so a good governance, okay, corporate governance more refer to the system of rules and the practice that direct and control a company. So it is a system, okay, overreaching system of rule, practice, and process to use to direct and control an organization. So it will ensure the accountability, the transparency, and the fairness. It will protect the stakeholder interests. It will promote the ethical decision making, because a principle of a good governance, okay, they need to be transparent, openness in the decision. They need to have a good accountability, responsibility for the action. They need to be fairness, equal treatment. They need to be responsible, okay, follow the ethical obligation, and they need to uh, comply, okay, to follow the law and regulation. This is what the ethics of the employees and ethics of the managers. They have to follow the ethical principle. So a good governance, in practice, they have a clear policy, they have a clear procedure, they know how to control. They do have the internal controls and the audit. Okay, they have a good ethical leadership, how the leader being a good example. Okay, if someone maybe involved in situations where they don't want to manipulate the data, they have a good whistleblowing mechanism. So the corporate governance, okay, will ensure a company to manage responsibly, transparent, and in the absolute best interest of their stakeholders. That's the connection. The ethic will drive the good governance. The governance will provide the framework that ensure the corporate social responsibility activities are actually executed. Okay, because of the managers and the employees already follow the principle. They have a good rules, they have a good practice, they have a good process to manage the organization, to be more transparent, to be responsible, okay, to the stakeholders. This is the a good governance in practice. Okay, the purpose to ensure responsibility. Okay, ensure that they're being transparent. Okay, to get the best interest for the all stakeholders. So the system of the rules and the practice will direct and control the company itself. Okay, so a corporate governance ensure responsibility. Okay, that will lead them to educate the corporate social responsibility, to serve back to the society, to being responsible. Okay, so for the CSR, okay, the corporate social responsibility, okay, uh, it means that they need to operating ethically and contributing positively to society. Okay, for example, they have include the fair treatment of employees, they're being honest in marketing, they're being transparent in reporting, for the community service and environmental sustainability. Okay, so the corporate social responsibility, CSR, okay, they give a commitment to operate ethically, plus with the contribute to the society. So not only for the profit, but also for the social and for the environmental impact. Okay, it applies to all the business activity. It will improve their reputation and sustainability. So there are five, okay, stakeholders that they need to focus, okay, to consider their interests, okay, to make sure that the ethical cooperation will build a public trust and for the long-term sustainability. Okay, they need to have the CSR toward the employees, the internal agents. Okay, they also have the CSR to the customers, the market. They need to have the CSR toward the investor, the government, the financials, and the legal backer. Okay, they also have the CSR towards the community, the society, the local and global human impact, and also have the CSR toward the environment, the physical world. Okay, so for the CSR, corporate social responsibility, for example, for the uh, stakeholders, okay, employees, okay, the CSR to employees, they need to provide a fair treatment, a safe working condition, okay, equals options, okay, the actual practice, okay, they provide a fair wages and safe working environment, equal opportunities and the non-discrimination. They have to train, give a training and development. Okay, they have a good work-life balance initiative. This how the ethicals and social responsibility where the organization should treat the employees fairly. Provide all of this, okay, in order to make sure they're being productive, they're being motivated to do the work. That's how they take care the employees. Okay, for the customer, okay, for example, for the customer, okay, they have to make sure that the company must provide a safe, a high quality product, honest informations. Okay, so the business should uh, avoid any misleading advertisement, okay, or harmful product, to take care the customer. So they have to come up with the product safety standard. Okay, being honest in the marketing. Okay, they have a clear product information. Okay, customer service customer service support in order to make sure that if anything happen, they can help the customer. Okay, that's how they're being ethical towards the customer and towards the investor. Okay, to the investor here, the shareholders. Okay, the organizations must act responsibly in managing the company resources and provide the accurate financials information. Okay, they have to be responsible resource management. They must be transparent in financial reporting, ethical business strategies in the protecting investor interests. Okay, how they being transparent and towards the community or the society. Okay, towards the community and the society, the organizations should contribute positively to the society and the support the community development. For example, they involve in the community service program. They give a donation. They for education sponsorship. Okay, scholarship. They also help. Okay, for the local employment opportunity to create a job opportunity. This is the CSR to the community. At the same time, it's also help the environment. Okay, help the environments. Okay, for the companies. Okay, to have a responsibly to protect the environment and to reduce the negative environmental impact, because company use the resources. Okay, some use the raw materials, uh, the things that they get from the the country's governments. Okay, so they have to bear with the consequences. They need to reduce the pollutions. They have to involve in the recycling initiative. Okay, to take care the sustainability. Okay, when they produce the product. Okay, and also it will help them to involve in energy consumptions. Okay, in energy conservation. They practice the sustainability, the recycling, energy saving. Okay, that's how they need to responsible toward the environment. Okay, at the same time with the government. Okay, the regulators, how the organization must comply with the law, the regulations, the ethical standard set by the authority. They have to pay the taxes. Okay, complying with the labor law, environmental regulation. Same, how they need to um, behave. Okay, or play the ethical responsibility toward the supplier. They have to maintain. Okay, a fair relationship with the supplier and avoid exploitation, avoid the discrimination. They need to have a fair contract. Okay, timely payment. They need to have a long-term partnership with the supplier to avoid okay any unethical behavior. That's the what we call it. Okay, the corporate social responsibility, how the company should operate ethically and contribute to the society, towards the employee, towards the customer, towards the community and environment, towards the investor, government, and also the supplier. Okay, that's the corporate social responsibility in practice. So the benefit of CSR, it will enhance the company reputation, it will build the customer trust, it will improve okay the employee moral, and it will support the long-term business sustainability. Okay, so that's all for the CSR. Now we proceed with the ethical theory. So the ethical theory, we have the three main ethical theory in business. Okay, what kind of theory that the organization can use to practice overall practice. Okay, for the organization. Okay, they are the utilitarianism, the deontology, and the virtue ethics. Okay, so for the first one, the utilitarianism, they focus on the action that benefit the majority, even if some will be harmed, because it is the outcome focused theory. Okay, so utilitarianism is an ethical theory that suggests a decision is ethical if it is produced the greatest good for the greatest number of people. So the decision is ethical if it is give greatest good for the majority. For example, when the company decide to introduce automation technology to increase efficiency, maybe some of the employees will be laid off, will be terminated. Okay, but in order to save the company, okay, this is an ethical decision, even it is will be harmful for those who being uh, uh, terminate, being laid off, okay, because of it will be a ethical decision. It is for the majority. That, okay, what they call it as a utilitarianism, focus on what benefit the most people. Okay, the second things about the utilitarianism, it lead to different types of effect. It could be positive for organization, where they help company to increase the productivity, lower the production cost, and lower the price for customer. But in a real situations, also give a negative effect to the employees, because employees lost their job because of they're using a new technology, they no need the employees. So according to the utilitarianism, if the overall benefit are greater than the harm, the decision may be considered ethical. That utilitarianism. One, for the deontology, it is rule focused theory. Okay, a rule focused theory, they follow the moral rules and the duty. Okay, they focus on the rules theory, okay, where the no matter the outcome, they must follow the rules, they must always tell the truth. Okay, that's deontology. Deontology emphasize following moral rules and duty regardless of the outcome. Okay, so for the deontology, this theory emphasize, okay, that they argue that some action are inherently right or wrong, even if the consequences are beneficial. For example, a manager that discover a accounting mistake that could negatively affect the company performance, even if revealing the mistake, it might harm the company image, the manager must report the truth because honesty is a moral duty. That's deontology, the rule focus theory. Okay, and the third one is the virtue ethics. The virtue ethics depends on the character focus theory. Okay, a character focus theory, they act according to good character traits like honesty and the courage. Okay, the virtue ethics, um, they need to emphasize the developing a good moral character. Okay, the honesty, integrity, the courage, and the fairness, because these kind of principles, okay, they focus on the fact and moral value of the individual rather than the rules or the consequences, which is different with the deontology, which is rule focus, different with the utilitarianism, that outcome focus. They move to the characters. For example, okay, a manager, okay, may refuse to accept a bribe from a supplier because it is goes against their personal integrity and the moral value. It is because of they do believe certain things. Okay, so when they being in the situations, okay, an ethical behavior, the decision is based on the good character, not only rules of outcome. It's based on the character, okay, what they instill, what they what call it apply in their life. So basically, based on these three main ethical theory, utilitarianism, they focus on the consequences. Okay, does this decision benefit the majority? The example, if they downsizing the employees to save the company, so it will be harmful for minority, but it will be good for the majority. Okay, for the deontology, they move to the rules and the duties. Is this action morally right according to the rules? Okay, for example, is it right to report the truthful about the financial data, even though it is will tarnish the organization reputation? Yes, if it says the deontology, the rule focus theory. Okay, and for the virtue ethic, they move to the moral character itself. Okay, what moral a good and ethical person do? Okay, if they refuse the bribery because they believe, okay, it is unethical behavior, it's not good for them, it's not good for the organization. So the ethical principle apply in the daily business activity. It will guide the behavior of the employees and the manager. It will ensure the responsible and the fair practice, also support the long-term organizational success. That's the ethical. Okay, so for the utilitarianism, the deontology and the virtue ethics, okay, the consequences, okay, if they benefit the majority, then it is ethical. Okay, even though it is harmful for certain of people, the minority. But for deontology, more to the rules and the duty. If this is a morally right according to absolute rules, then okay, it will be ethical for them. Okay, because even though it is tarnish the organization reputation damage, but they have to be honest truth. For the virtue ethics, okay, it depends on the individual moral characters. Okay, especially okay, if they have a good character, they need to follow. Okay, the what you call it, the virtue ethics, act according to good character, honesty, courage. So some of the organizations, okay, maybe how they have to face okay the ethical issue in organization, uh, they depends on the principle okay that they apply. Okay, so in an ethical decision making, okay, the organization usually face a ethical dilemma. There is no clear right or wrong answer, but the ethical theories to be carefully judged and decide the best action. So for the utilitarianism, the deontology, or the virtue ethics, they offer a different approach to resolving an ethical dilemma. So which often have no right or wrong answer, because it will be mastery, okay, of this framework, okay, because the it navigate okay the complex business situation based on the nature of business itself. So the final how they make a decision, the ethical decision, okay, navigating ethical dilemma. So it will be high pressure situation. If there is no clear right or wrong answer, it will be challenges for them to make a decision, to direct the conflict, okay, to resolve the conflict between the core value, the corporate rules, and the personal interest, because some of it okay could be right, okay, ethical, but maybe demotivated, give a positive effect, give a negative effect. So in reality, these dilemma are highly common in real business situation where they cannot be solved on autopilot. A pilot, okay, they require careful judgment and rigorous reasoning using your ethical framework. Either you follow the utilitarianism, the deontology, or the virtue ethic. So each of the organization, they need to have ethical decision making. Okay, they have to process okay of choosing the most ethical action. They have to identify the issue or the problem. They need to consider the stakeholder affected. They have to evaluate the alternative using the ethical principle. Okay, the utilitarianism, the deontology, the virtue ethics. Okay, before they make a decision, make and justify the decision. Okay, that's how they come up with the ethical decision in order to deals with the ethical dilemma in organization. So ethics ethics they build the trust for the long-term success. They need to have a good governance, and CSR protect all the stakeholders. They need to have a good ethical framework in order to navigate complex workplace decision. So the path forward, okay, they have to know the baseline. Okay? The workplace ethic that will build the absolute trust, will drive the productivity, will secure the long-term organizational success by providing a good corporate governance structure. Okay, the CSR, okay, how they can execute the corporate social responsibility to ensure that the business will be operate transparent and also protect all the stakeholders' interests. Okay, then they can apply. Okay, they can apply the principle, the utilitarianism, the deontology, or the virtue ethic to safely navigate the complex business dilemma. That's will be difficult, but in order to help them, okay, they have to use a framework, the path forward. We call it the path forward. Okay, where the organizations, okay, they need to understand, okay, the ethical employees responsibility, the managers ethical responsibility, okay, how they need to create a good governance, how they educate the CSR, and then apply all the principle. Okay, so the ethical dilemma in the workplace where the situation is not clear right or wrong, that the conflict between the value, the roles of interest, they need the require careful judgments and reasonings, and how they are very common in a real business situation. So for the organizational ethic corporate responsibility and governance, okay, they have to handle the ethical dilemma, and they have to refer to the company policy and the code of ethics. They have to seek advice from the supervisor. They need to consider the consequences of the action. They have to apply all the ethical theory and choose the action that align with the value. Okay, so uh, the conclusions, okay, what we learn from this chapter, organizational ethics, ethics, governance, and social responsibility are interconnected, and it is vital, okay, for the sustainable business success. So the moral characters and the ethical decision making will shape the future of the organization. Okay, so these chapters actually teach that a strong organizational ethic at the foundation of the trust, the fairness, and the long-term success in the workplace, while effective corporate governance and the social responsibility ensure that companies operate transparently and protect all the stakeholders, either by mastering the ethical theory like utilitarianism, the deontology, or the virtue ethics. Individual and the organization can confidently navigate a complex dilemma and make a decision that will uphold the integrity and benefit both the business and the society. So that's for the organizational ethic. So hopefully, I hope that all the business students who enroll MGT321 based on the cohort 2025 for, okay, there are 49 students, almost 50 students. Okay, I hope you're watching this recorded video, these recorded sections, and make sure, okay, after watch the recording, you need to complete the viewing verification form. You have to answer a few questions, okay, in order to confirm your participation. Fail to do so, there are consequences. So make sure, okay, watch the video, and then don't forget to uh, fill up the form that already attached on the description. So thank you very much. Okay, hope to see you again. So thank you.